Hey folks, this is Snuff playing another game of Fury of Dracula, another Continental Cup tournament game. This is week 4. I'm playing Dracula in a 1v1 game versus Scotsword, who is doing the Oktoberfest start, as is in vogue these days. Um, hmm, with this, what do I want to do? I kind of want to start east. I don't have a hoax to mature. I will want to try to mature the starter vamp. I'm a little disappointed that it's a fighter vamp. I'd rather try to mature in the Risto, but it's not too bad. Um, mm, I want to. Yeah, I'm going to start east and try to create some havoc with the bats and get them mature. Starting Varna. The thing is, versus Oktoberfest, the best plays are um, Ireland and Spain. Oh, Harker. Okay. Well, that's going to get allied, I'm sure. We may get interrupted as Scott's baby daughter is trying to sleep. And if we do, I was originally going to stream this, but to kind of make some space for the baby and for potential interruptions, I'm just recording it. Um, and I can pause the recording if Scott needs to go AFK for a bit. There's the Aristo. Very well. We'll probably place that next. The question is, do I think he is going to land on Bucharest? Probably not. If he is going for this, he is either going to do like a horse and then a rail, or I don't think he's going to land on Bucharest. Um, if he's dealing with this, and if he's not dealing with this, then Bucharest is going to get wiped. So I think I play the Aristo there and just see what happens with it. And then I proceed this way and play the bats somewhere in here to kind of disrupt Scott's flow. I'm going to need to really use the bats and the fog I have to create some chaos and create a way for me to get away from the hunters. Hide under the Saboteur. I'm going to rumor it now, which is a little early. Normally you rumor it on the third turn, but in this case it doesn't make that much difference. The benefit to doing it now is that if there's an opportunity to use Dark Call next turn, if I Dark Call next turn, I would not be able to put that rumor token down. And since this is the Continental Cup tournament, we are playing with the optional um, enhanced Dark Call rule on, which means if I use Dark Call and I'm Drac, the top card I can take the top card if it's a Drac card. but unfortunately it is not, so I'm not going to be able to do that right now. So that's going to heavily telegraph that this is indeed a real vamp to start, which should surprise nobody, least of all Scotsword. Mina has a horse already. It's not great, but is what it is. It's also not too surprising. There's a trade, presumably to clear up ticket space, maybe, or hand space. The fact that there's a trade already makes me think I should be cautious. It means their tickets might be getting into good shape fast. Another Aristo. Okay, interesting. Let's see if I can dark call here. Nope. I'm going to assume he drew newspapers because there's a lot of hunter events. So, would I rather be in Klausenberg when I'm revealed, or would I rather be in Belgrade? I think the answer is Belgrade. I do kind of like to put bats in Klausenberg because then, if you have nothing else to bat the hunter into, batting them into Castle Drac is fairly helpful. But I think this is going to be an Aristo in Klausenberg. Unless I would rather do a Rats here and then do Aristo next. That might not be the worst idea. Um, may as well do that. Hmm. Okay, so I'm going to stay here. Not the best spot to be in, but I don't think I'm going to jump down this turn. So I will use Dark Call. We'll see what I get. Very few Drac events in the discard, so maybe not getting hoaxed is not the worst thing in the world. Geo is spectating. R2 win was here earlier, but had to bounce. This game, so we're in week 4. This is a team tournament, U.S. versus Europe. I'm on Team United States. Um, the Europeans just took a narrow 0.5 point lead against us. So this will determine whether that persists in the near term or not. See how it goes. I assume Scotsword is favored versus me because he's won tournaments and I haven't, and he's been in the community longer, but I've beaten him once or twice before, maybe. So, see how it goes. Um, the point 0.5 is um, because this particular tournament has 2v1 games in addition to 1v1s. Oh, R2 wins back. And the winner of the 2v1 games gets 1.5 points for their team, reflecting the additional player rather than 1 point. So, oh, wait, no. Can't be distracting myself. Okay. Ooh, that's a good draw. Thank you. That'll give me some protection. It'll. It can't carry. Oh, ooh, I'm not revealed. Nice. So this is almost certainly going to mature, and I have some protection if I get jumped on. If a hunter jumps onto a Dracula, or well, if a hunter moves with roads, be it by regular move or a wild horse, or fast horses move, wild horses can interrupt that. The only way wild horses would not work is if the hunter is using a rail to move. So, and that is uncommon, at least in the way we play. So the wild horses gives Drac quite a bit of protection. I would consider it an S tier Drac event. Typically, the strat is to wait until you are jumped on, and then remove one of the hunters jumping on you from the fray. That's currently how I plan to use it. Um, there are 2 stakes in discard. I'm inclined to not play any vamps at the moment, and to instead play what? What would be most disruptive? Spy, probably. Probably Spy. Yeah, I assume these hunters are stacked or close to it. I mean, they've only gotten through a quarter of the deck, but when I say stacked, I mean there's no heavenly hosts or or knives in the discard. So I assume that is what hunters have. Okay. Interesting. The um the Vamp Mature will at least give him some more uncertainty about where I am. 1, 2, 3. If there's a good time to use fog, it's probably better to use it before it gets behind the veiled, but I don't want to waste it. If I were him, I would scan. His horse eco seems great, which is not surprising. He will scan. Um, with the scan, he won't know if I'm in Klausenberg or in Belgrade or in Szeged or I guess theoretically Sarajevo. That would not be the craziest move. Um, if I wanted to get jumped on. So he'll probably deduce where I'm going. Although, I mean, eh, there's a lot I could be doing. I think he will expect this move, but I also think it's the right play for the moment. Let's do a bats. I can then move somewhere else and put a vamp down if I don't feel too threatened, such that I feel like I need to play the fog. The Wild Horses really does give me some latitude. But the Bats and Vamp combo is obviously pretty good. Although honestly, I don't think I'm going to kill a Hunter with this. So maybe I don't really want to do the... That's so annoying. And he could use it to search if he has Surprising Return. I don't have double Fighter Vamp, so I probably won't kill them. I'm still not opposed to playing the Bats the way I did, because I can throw the Hunters in the wrong direction. Okay. I think I'd rather save my Fighter Vamp. Badoo. Interesting. Stake is encouraging. It means I'm under a little bit less pressure. I bet that means he used a rail, did a rail move to Budapest, or not sorry, Bucharest, excuse me. Also means their horse economy is going to be just a little bit off, and this might make the horse economy more off. So I'm probably a little safer than I look. I think that means the play here will be to go to Salonika next, because I'm going to want to turn and go west, but I also want to make the hunters spend more time here. Going to Varna would not be the worst move, but I would need to wolf west in that case. I mean, I could go to C, but I want to avoid that as much as I can. Yeah, Varna would not be horrible, but I don't think he would expect Varna. But since he has a stake with Seward, I'm not going to have too much play in the joints using Vamps. Okay, discards a rifle. What if that means he had like rifle bullets or something? They're Mystic Research. That's going to help him quite a bit. No, all bullets are here. I'm surprised he thought about that so much. Maybe there's something he doesn't want to show me. Okay, what do I have now? I think I play bodyguards next in case Seward jumps on me and no longer has a weapon. Okay, interesting. He wants to take another item. Okay. Does this mean Helsing drew a horse? Or does it mean he doesn't want Helsing to take the last card because that last card is a horse? Mina's moving. And there's no Aggie yet. If she jumps on me, that is odd. Why would you do that? I guess to get on the rail line? Come for me that way? That move really makes no sense whatsoever. Okay. Unless he thinks I'm about to leave. This is honestly not a bad time for him to go AFK because I'm a little uncertain as to what to do here. It's also a good time because the item deck is empty, It's good time for me to look at this. No crucifixes. There are two stakes out there, one of which is on Seward. Horses on the 200s in the east. I mean, the obvious move is just to go to Valona, but I mean, I guess if I get jumped on right, I always have the wild horses. So it would at least be a 2v1. So I may as well go to Valona. I think the best approach is to go mob to protect myself if I do get jumped on. So while I have a moment to think, they have all the knives, they have all the heavenly hosts, they have all the horses, all the normal stuff. They have two stakes. Dogs, garlic wreath, rifle, pistol, horse, knife, heavenly host, stake. So there's one item other than the ones I've counted for. What could that one item be? May as well take a moment to think about that. I see 3 bullets. I see, oh, 4 dogs. Is there a third holy circle? I think that's burned me in the past by assuming there was, but I think there's not. Pretty sure there's 3 of each gun, three of most things. What could I be forgetting? Oh, there's a fourth pistol. One of them is a pistol. All right, I might take a quick restroom break. I'll be right back. I won't be gone long, so I won't mute it. Or I won't pause it. I'll just mute it. Okay, I'm back. Scott is not back, so I will probably banter to myself a little bit while we wait. If the delay becomes longer, I might just pause this video so you don't have to deal with that. But for now, I won't do that. I'm playing in my finished basement and it is freezing here. Get myself a little blanket. All right, so what else is there to say about this position? I'll find out now probably if Godalming drew the last horse or not. What Mina's move means she's not going to go for me. And he's just going to rely on Seward to try to clear all this trail as long as I stay here. I mean, there's not much else that makes sense. So he will know exactly where I am, and if he wants to make me burn wild horses, I will do so. I'm hmm, I'm guessing that Seward doesn't have that Seward has the pistol because if he had two weapons, I don't think he would think that long about what to do in Belgrade. Um, I think this means Seward had the rifle, Heavenly Host, stake, and horse. He was taking so long on Belgrade because he was not sure if he wanted to leave Seward without a weapon. He knows where I am. He is just thinking about who he wants to deal with the trail and who not. Seward is very well equipped. If Seward has what I think, he is very well equipped to deal with the trail, which is all the more reason why it makes sense for me to not um, play the Vamps. Yeah, he's clearing trail. And he's assuming that I am not, that I put a bats in Sophia, which I did, and he's, I think, going to let it mature, which is unfortunate for me because that's exactly what I did. It's very traditional in that way. The fact that Godalming is staying put may mean. Ooh, he didn't draw the pistol. Okay. That gives me a little bit more safety. So that must mean that Seward either drew the last stake or drew the last Heavenly Host. And that also means that if it's the last Heavenly Host, then I have a little bit less fear about CG. Although I would say I still have quite a bit of fear about CG. I could misdirect Salonica and target Seward, but if I guess wrong, or if he has a, I would need to do well in both the day combat and the night combat, because I wouldn't be able to kill him in the day combat. He could kill me if he guesses correctly with the heavenly hosts, and if he has another surprising return, which would not surprise me since he already tossed one, he would he would be able to bring Aggie back, which would make the value proposition of going there worse. And if Mina rails in, he would have a 2v1, and I could not stop it with the horses, the wild horses. Of course, if I did go in and get the kill, or even get some healing, I mean, that could be very helpful. Just a week and a half left. I'm not in a terrible position. If I did get the kill, I'd be pretty safe. He could have an escape route or a planned ambush and just get out. And then taking the 2v1 at night in that situation, if he did have that, would be pretty bad. I think I need to go here with soil. It won't mature, but he'll go there. He'll probably go there and clear it, and I'll get some cards. Okay, that makes it a little bit more lucky that Seward has double Heavenly Host. So there's the horse. Good to know. Um, this is good for a trade on his part. So I'm guessing Mina maybe she had like double knives and is gonna give him one. But then if that's the case, she probably would have done that Bucharest when they were together. So Mina probably has Horse Knife Heavenly Host. Okay, well there goes my fog. That's a problem. Because I was thinking the best course of action would probably be to use the fog to protect myself as I land. So now I will start getting layers, so hopefully I'll get that fog back soon. I think I need to go to sea. Mm, I don't want to have to burn my wild horses now on preventing a 2v1. I could hide, be prepared to take the 2v1. Hide under a mob. I think the play is to go to sea. And if I get fog, then the play will probably be to land. If I don't, then the play will be to try to land on the mainland. If I don't, the play will be to land at CAG. I'm hoping that he does eventually search Sophia now that I've gone. Particularly if he knows that Valona is not a vamp, he might think it's more likely that this is not bats, but it is bats, and I can at least get some value out of it by throwing him away from me. A lot of time to kill, and these hunters are souped up. Losing that fog is a big negative. Let's hope I draw a new one soon. Not sure what he's thinking about. A trade, I guess. I wonder if he has remembered to count his Mystic Research Night supplies. Because he hasn't been writing it in the chat. But he may be writing it in like a pad of paper or something. Aristo or Mob? I think Mob. Nah, Aristo. There's the fog. Very nice. So I think that means we next go here and then plan to land at Genoa. If I get landed on, try to escape as bat. Although honestly, maybe I don't want to escape as or to even play the fog here because I'm probably not going to get 2v1 since there's only one horse between these two. And I could always use the wild horse or the wild horses to protect myself. Okay, if he covers it now, then that's that. I can always save the fog for later. I can always land at Marseille after I land from CAG. So I'll play a fighter vamp at CAG, probably a new vamp. Try to heal. If I get the opportunity for to play a second vamp here, I might even put another new vamp. Don't think I need to rumor it yet. Better to move Seward away from me than to move him to a lair. It's a lot of supplying for Scott. Definitely not using wild horses there. It's interesting that he didn't give Godalming the horse. Why do that? Why not let trade with Van Helsing and let Godalming take the horse? I don't want to get rid of the spy or the bats, but I think I need to get through this deck. So I think I'll toss the spy. I think that is more important. Yeah, although I'm gonna have to layer something next. So maybe the gonna layer Salonica. So I guess it doesn't matter. They're both gonna be kind of ruined. On the off chance he goes to Salonica, I'd rather have a spy there. Yep, no surprise there. So Mina almost only has a regular old knife Heavenly Host um, horse combo. Do I want the Reckless? Because the Fang points for the ambush could be helpful. I think the answer is yes. Ooh, Thoroughbred Sin strikes again. If only that were a bat. Oh, he doesn't even go there. Honestly, that is better than a bat in my view. It's a little bit easier for him to get back here with chartered carriage, but I mean, he has a horse. So if he had gone here, he'd take some damage, he'd heal, and he'd be here. Yeah, that's better for me. I mean, I guess he rules out me doing something sneaky, but I mean, he knows. Okay, so now I'm threatened with two hunters. But I mean, they're relatively weak hunters, and I could get a kill. And if he heroic leaps me, that's not the worst thing in the world under these circumstances. I think I just heal and let them come at me if they want to. Um, and I'll assume they both have the standard hunter setup. It's possible that Helsing maybe has a stake. Oh, he could RV and then excellent weather on me and get a 3v1. That might be what he's doing. That could be deadly. But I am on two vamps, so there's that. If he RVs and he walks to Genoa, do I use the wild horses then? That would be a hard call. Very hard. We'll just have to wait and see what he's got. Mina's also at 7, which could matter. If I can get her down to um, 3 health with these day combats. I know she doesn't have a gun, so she'd be quite vulnerable to dying to claws. Seward, I thought, had 2 heavenly hosts, but he might have traded with Mina. I wonder if I should be going off the assumption that Helsing has 2 knives or a knife and heavenly host. Okay, no renewed vigor. That's pretty comforting. Wouldn't it be crazy for him to go to bed now and just try to get me when I land? Yeah. But I can dark call and then move, and he won't know which way I'm going. The only problem with that, of course, is that now Godalming is threatening to get me if he has excellent weather alone. And that would be a 3v1. Um, I think I want a Dark Call here. He'll be able to figure out where I'm going with Hypnosis after this, but I think I want to preserve that option. The alternative is to go here, and then I won't be able to land immediately. I'll need to get lucky with the fog. Dark Call. There's one excellent weather in the trash already, which is really good. That does make me a little safer, I suppose. Now, if he doesn't come to fight me, he's going to be in an awkward position with Mina and Helsing. He has to do something with them. And he's going to have to deal with this vamp eventually. At least he'll have a strong incentive to deal with that vamp. Getting that mature will, cost him 2 whole turns. And it will almost put me in a land to win position. I think I'll be one short, theoretically, because I'm assuming he has CG. And if I did this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, land Monday, I would have no other sea spaces to go through, and I would be stuck. Okay, we'll see what he does. Maybe he's fishing for the excellent weather. Or he's going to trade it. I almost want to not use Reckless, in part because that could affect his decision making. And he might heroic leap it or kill it. I think I want to only ambush with one. I mean, he used Speedy Telegraph. He chose this order intentionally. Yep, no surprise there. He might try to stake the vamp and then move in with 3 hunters. And then escape route after. That would be pretty good. Excuse me. He didn't put Aggie into play. He doesn't have surprising return. That could be helpful. If he doesn't send everyone in, it means I'll have a chance to heal a little in this combat. Interesting. Does he want to have Seward get in with excellent weather? Is that the deal? Rail and then excellent weather in? Or maybe he's getting a combat card. That would make sense. Okay. So this will be a 2v1 at most. Or no, sorry, it could still be a 3v1 with Seward. Horses. Okay, this is great. Now I don't even need to worry about do I use it now or later. Because he didn't get to... Oh, he wouldn't have been able to get to General anyway because he didn't rail. This is fine. Okay. Well, now I'm kind of regretting not ambushing with the Vamp. That was a relatively wasteful um, RV, so I'm kind of happy about that. Housing escapes. Okay, no surprise there. So I'm going to assume that I'm not going to mature this Vamp. I'm going to have to survive a little longer. I'm going to really have to make use of that fog. He'll then search this during the day, so housing is in no threat of dying. I assume then that Helsing has knife stake. I need to think about which direction I want to go in. Yep, no surprise there. That is the last stake. So if I can get another vamp down, that would be hugely helpful. Here he has every incentive to just escape dodge. There's no reason to do anything else. So I may as well just play it straight. The question will then become, where do I go from there? And do I feel comfortable enough to lay a vamp down? He's already played one RV, but he played it. Maybe the play is to just land now. Lay a vamp down. Because I think he'll want to use the. I think he'll be tempted to use the hypnosis first. And one of his horses is in CAG, at least for now. Hmm. He was really nervous before Warren too. Let's play this. And hope he doesn't jump on me immediately. At least not with multiple hunters. Oh, he's going for it. He's thinking about killing this with the Heavenly Host, since he and maybe a planned ambush. Mina's unfortunately at 9, so a 2v1 would be more dangerous for me. Okay. Okay, 2v1. Unless he heroic leaps me. Now the question becomes, do I use wild horses now? Um, I guess I kind of have to, right? I could die in this combat. He's got to be thinking about heroic leap. Otherwise, surely you use whatever you have if it's planned ambush or... Yeah, okay. So I think he doesn't have a knife on Seward. So I think he is thinking about how to avoid, or how to hit me with a... He's thinking about how to hit me with a Heavenly Host, and I don't even have a... I don't have a Fang. So I should plot, right? Like, he must have a gun by now. Do I have escapist bats in my hand? Maybe he's thinking about whether to just escape. Pistol. Okay. Good to know he has that. Claws now. Glad there was no bullets. If he has double Heavenly Host, I could be screwed here. Unless I draw the fangs, of course. He knows that I want to play fangs, so he's thinking long and hard about whether to use his Heavenly Host now or later. He uses it, naturally. Okay. So now the question becomes, does he hit me with his second Heavenly Host or with his gun? And he knows that I know that if I have a that I need to play fangs if I have it. If I play strength, if he plays his pistol, I'm dead if I don't play the strength. Um, if he plays his other Heavenly Host, I'm dead if I don't play the claws. I might be dead anyway if he has great strength. I'm going to play the claws. Um, and see where that gets me. I'm hoping that he is thinking that I will be conservative and either play that I'll be expecting the pistol. Okay, great. He did not play the gun. So I'll either kill him or nope. Great strength. Darn. So now, what will likely happen is, well, assuming he plays CG here, um, I'm going to be kind of screwed because I can't feed. I'm going to have to walk onto a hunter. Or, well, no, he has. Yeah, he'll make me walk onto a hunter. Yep. So I won't be able to play my fog, and I won't get the forewarned game. And I can't even hide. Excellent deduction on Scotsword's part. Um, I really um, thought he was gonna. I was banking on the assumption that he would. Whatchamacallit? That he would hypnosis. Um, I'm probably toast regardless. Definitely regretting not sending Mina to Marseille now. So I'm going to need to heal during the day. Oh, I didn't even pay attention who was revealing the tokens. Mina only has one other non-hypnosis event. Godalming has two. I know Mina's stocked on items. I think I have to go to Mina. Because Godalming might not be able to get there. Okay, that's GG. It's disappointing. Because this was a winnable game. Maybe if I had stayed at sea longer, I would have been okay. Um, but it's like with hunters, every time you're at sea, or sorry, with Drac, every time you're at sea, the hunters are getting stronger. Um, maybe I should have gone to a different space. Hello?
Let's make sure that the people at home can actually hear you, Snuff, because I disabled Discord. There we go. Right. Let's see if they can hear you.
Yeah, I still have my recording running as well. Although I'm sure there will be more people watching yours. Um, yeah, GG well played. Yeah, I did assume you had CG given how much of the deck had gone by, and by the fact that you had been careful to keep a hold of your heavenly hosts. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
figured you had it. Um, I did not draw um, Fangs in the combat with Seward.
Mm.
Um, I was expecting the Heavenly Host because I figured Seward didn't have a knife. I assumed when Seward got hit by that bodyguard at the beginning that he had horse, Heavenly Host stake or something like that at that point.
Very good. Very good. Yep.
So even just figuring that there would have been a trade to give the Heavenly Host to Mina, I assumed that all the knives were elsewhere. So I was planning to Fang if I could against Stewart, especially when there was no Aggie, but I never drew a Fang. So
Oh.
by the end, when I hadn't drawn a Fang and I had gotten you to 3 health with Seward, and I had to choose to play Strength in case you had played the pistol, or Claw in case you hadn't played the pistol, um, I figured you would think that I would assume pistol, and that I would play either Mesmerize or um, or a Strength, and so I thought I would roll the dice on hitting you with Claw. You did escape, but the great strength prevented that from being helpful to me.
Hmm.
So, um, although I'm not sure that it would have changed the outcome because I would have still been forced to go to Mina or Godalming.
Right.
Um,
Uh, Good the CG tokens thereafter. Yeah.
in hindsight, I should
Uh,
have moved Mina to to Marseille, and I thought about that. But I figured if I was able to escape, I would rather have her there. Like if I had a better outcome and I could maybe escape as Bat from the combat in Genoa, I would rather Mina be in Florence so she couldn't hypnosis. But it
yeah.
turns out that was a bad gamble. I thought about going to Godalming after getting whittled down to 2 with Seward because I figured I knew what Mina had. I figured maybe Godalming had 2 knives. I kind of thought that Helsing had a knife and Godalming had a knife. But I figured, well, Mina only has one other event. Maybe it's safer, and at least I know what she has, even though it's going to be a gamble. But I don't know. I figured I'd be dead regardless, but
Yeah, it's a tough spot. I mean, when I went into that combat, I said very clearly that the only thing I cared about was making sure you didn't escape as Bat. Um, that would have been very much worst case scenario, and it would have been so bad for me. Because even though I had hypnosis and stuff, I would have preferred you go to sea because I had the money trail, but hypnosis requires more setup. Um, and also then because I had no speedy telegraph because I'd burnt it, I wouldn't be able to play hypnosis in a way that would have been efficient for me. Um, so yeah, my only objective in that combat was to try to make sure you just didn't escape as Bat. So I was tempted just to escape it instantly, but I thought, well, I can catch you with pistol. It does give you more information about my hand, but I just thought, well, fuck, I'm just going to roll the dice and play Heavenly Host. If you just find me, yeah, it would have been annoying, and it would have meant you could have gone to sea, but I would have preferred that outcome over you escaping as back, because then you would have got Wolf Form back as well. Um,
yeah,
and you could basically go anywhere on the map. And even though I had hypnosis, Godalming didn't have horses because the horses went to Cagliari. That was a misplay on my part. So if you managed to get escaped back from that combat, I think you'd just win the game just through make it into fourth week and just accumulating the points you did need. I don't know if I would have caught you in time. I would have burnt a lot of my strength. Um, my only the only gambit I could have done is potentially just use CG to throw into like Munich if you had escaped us back to there and block off the east. But then if you weren't there, then I don't know what how the rest would have panned out. So it was a really tricky one with the whole thing with Seward. I agonized over that rifle for ages with that spy. I think in hindsight I should have kept it because I got hit with those bodyguards. But then I managed to trade them. They both had planned ambush very early, actually. So I was like, well, this actually works out fine. Um, I was expecting, actually, when Sud went into Salonika, I was expecting you to have hidden in Valona, and then you would have used potential wild horses to push Mina into your location in Valona. And if there was fog or something, Mina could have been trapped there for
mm,
quite a long time, and you could have fed or dark cord on top, and that you could have maybe. I still had great strength at that point, but still, I couldn't stay alive forever. And you just if you get the right combo of cards, then you could kill her. But it's really tough playing
yeah,
against wild horses.
yes, that was a really lucky dark call draw on my part. Um, yeah, when we were at that early stage of the game, I started off fairly concerned for my safety, right? Because there were all these hunters near me, and I saw you were drawing a lot of events, and I saw that, I didn't see any stakes or heavenly hosts, or sorry, not stakes. I didn't see any knives or heavenly hosts in the discard. So eventually I kind of deduced that you only had 2 horses, so that made me a little safer. And I had wild horses, so that made me a little safer. And um, especially after you tossed the rifle, I was like, okay, you you dwelled on that decision for so long that that told me a lot. It told me that probably that was Seward's only weapon, and that's why you were taking so long because you weren't sure if you wanted to get rid of it or maybe potentially toss a white one away. It was hard. So that made me feel safer, and I thought, okay, I know Seward has a stake. I know he's a little less of a threat to me. I'm a little bit safer than it would look with all the hunters nearby. So I thought my best play was to not play any of my vampires, just store them away for later, and just put um, damaging cards, and then later the soil, even though I knew the soil would get wiped, stuff that would help me clean up my hand and make you take longer, especially because I figured that you've played me enough that you know I like to put bats in Sophia, and indeed I did put a bat in Sophia. I was
Hmm.
like, well, okay, he's gonna expect bats and vamps, and vamps wouldn't really get me very far here. So put down other stuff, try to spend a little bit more time in the east, and then move. Was kind of the approach I took. I was very happy. I was wondering if you might, after seeing Valona and Salonika, second guess yourself and think maybe Sophia is not a bat, because surely if it was a bat, then I would play a vamp after it, right? And I was very
Hmm.
pleased to see that you did go search that, because it bought me a little bit more time in keeping Seward out of the action. I'm not sure how much difference it made in the end, but it helped a little, I think.
I was just wondering because depending on the time, I can't remember exactly when you obtained wild horses, but there could have been easily a way where it could have been a hoax or something of that nature. And I mean, I'm going, oh, I have to now I have to dedicate two hunters over here because you could just send Sud away, so then Mina has to then go and deal with it. Um, so I was thinking of any sort of potential sort of trap. I didn't. I think it's been my memories not as good as it used to be because I'm not playing as frequently. But I hadn't remembered that you specifically like playing bats and stuff, even though it is a fairly common thing for people to do because it has a lot of connections and it makes a lot of sense to do it.
Right.
But I just thought, you could easily just throw a hoax in and you use these wild horses now that you've got them. If you're able to play the Sophia encounter after obtaining wild horses, you could plan around that. Um, and or even if something really benign like the bats were. Imagine if you'd pursued away with bats, and then I think, oh god, now Mina has to go and deal with it as well, and then she would have got hit by bats. So there's a number of things that could have happened with that, um, all that stuff over there. Um,
Yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have played a vamp in um, Belgrade and forced him there and made you. You'd probably use your planned ambush to get out of there, um, if you could.
hmm.
Uh, but at the time, I didn't know that you would land on Sophia, so I was like, okay, well, just throw some trash in the Belgrade lair, play it straight, and you probably, I mean, maybe you'll land on Sophia, maybe you won't, but at least I won't waste a vamp on something that might give me no value. And I'd be pushing you towards me, so if you did burn the planned ambush and get away from the vamp, me pushing you in that direction would be kind of counterproductive.
Especially with the wild horses gone, you can't suddenly push me back the other way later.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was really pleased that you intentionally avoided the Sophia lair, um, when you had a bad horse roll and would have otherwise
hmm.
gone onto it. Um, it didn't make a huge difference, I don't think, but it was kind of entertaining.
Especially with the chartered carriage. But it actually did like a double whammy. The fact I rolled that yellow one because I didn't actually know where you were. You could have landed in Constanta. Um, so I thought I'll just check Constanta just to make sure that you haven't tried to do something really tricksy. But all that sort of game of chicken with the Mediterranean and Tyrrhenian with Mina and Van Helsing, like I almost went in when they were both in the Tyrrhenian and then when they're both in the Mediterranean, I almost went in. Oh, I think kind of the timing with it, but yeah, I almost went in. I undenied over so long, and then realized,
Yeah,
okay, I'm just
I
gonna go dive
was.
again.
If you had gone in, I was really worried. I was worried that you had like a renewed vigor combo that would get a third hunter in there. Um,
Nah,
if there was a 2v1, I was thinking, okay, I have two vamps. I can hopefully get. And Mina only had 7 health when she was at sea, which kind of made a difference because it's relatively easy to get two vamps to get you down to three health, and maybe I'd
Hmm.
get more than that. And if I got more than that, I assumed Mina did not have a gun, which meant that if I got a claw in, Mina was very vulnerable to dying. And even though I was in kind of a tricky situation, right, with not having, like, if you get down to too little health in that situation, I could die quickly, right? I mean, because I was in CAG. I was hoping maybe killing Mina could be the trick I needed. Plus, there was no Aggie because the suppressing
Hmm.
return was gone, and that makes a whole
Yeah.
difference to the calculus too, because you can heal back up. But I was very worried about the potential for a three hunter matchup in CAG. I was kind of, 50-50. It kind of depended on what the Drac hand draw is. Um, you know, like it might be good. I was thinking it might be good for me if you did take the 2v1.
Yeah, the thing was Van Helsing was very weak. He only had a pistol and a stake and a horse.
Oh.
Godalming was the one that was loaded. And after I got across, I was like, oh, wait, am I going to regret now Godalming not having a horse? I had a throwaway sense of emergency because I drew Money Trail because I thought you might then suddenly go running up to Britannica. So I thought I need to keep this Money Trail just in case. So I had a throwaway sense of emergency. Um, so, yeah, once I realized you only ambush with one vampire, I thought I'm not going to go charging in here with Mina. What I was I had Lucky Find on Seward, so what I really wish I had done was somehow got Lucky Find off him sooner. So then Van Helsing would have walked in with the Lucky Find already on him. He could stake the vamp with his second renewed vigor action, and then he has Lucky Find for the combat, and I can move Mina in too. But then it would have been
Mm,
tricky because there was I didn't know if there was a second vamp or not, and there was a second vamp. So that'd be if you had ambushed Van Helsing, then I have to fight that reckless basically twice, and then suddenly health becomes a huge issue. Um, so yeah, I can't remember when the escape route came along, but it came fairly soon to that. So as soon as I realized the escape route was a possibility, I was like, oh, this is fine. I can then just use Van Helsing's second action to trade the escape route.
that makes sense.
I, I had a forewarned, so if there was something that was not a vampire encounter, I would then take the Lucky Find off, not stake the vamp, because Mina can just deal with one vamp. I think it would have been fine with planned ambush and then a great strength lurking in the
I
shadows as
see.
well. So I would have done it that way. But the fact you didn't reveal what that hide encounter was, even though you could have got some influence with it from that reckless, but the fact you didn't reveal it, I thought, right, I'm not going to risk this being a double vamp because he also didn't have full warned. So I'm just going to go and land and sort of just keep supplying up and just wait for the sort of the CG move. It must have felt bad for you having to dark call there on Cagliari and get no event card off of it.
Yeah, it definitely felt bad. I don't know. I think at that point I almost wanted you to come in because then maybe I could get the heal a little bit. I was kind of optimistic about that combat. And that was part of the reason I mean, I don't know. I thought long and hard about trying to ambush you with that vamping cag. I don't know. I thought there was some possibility that maybe somehow Helsing did not have the stake and you were planning on going in for the kill and then you'd have some trouble later on.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I
No,
probably
it
should
was
have ambushed. Or maybe it could
that's a
cause
fair.
you to make a bad decision
Hmm.
since you didn't know if it was fog or not. But
Yeah, I could have easily come across with no. I mean, as soon as I see a rumor token, I'm not risking coming across with no stake normally. Because then you're having to move a hunter off and then move another hunter back on, and it's just for inefficient. It's just very inefficient. The fact the escape route came along made the decision a lot easier. If I didn't have the escape route, I might have just ended up sending Van Helsing back to the Turinian, and then you'd have had to leave, and then I just go in after you. It would have been, a waste of like two moves basically.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I wonder.
I think the wild horses kind of freak me out because I don't know when you're going to trigger them, and then it makes renewed vigor plays very awkward. Um,
Did you
yeah,
have the
yeah,
second RV?
no,
Okay. I kind of thought you might because that was. It seemed like kind of an inefficient RV play. Um, but
yeah, I just needed the escape route. That was kind of the thing.
oh, that makes sense.
If Van Helsing had already had escape route on him, I would never play renewed vigor there.
I see.
But it also then meant for the other Huns they could kind of reposition a little bit and supply up a little bit more. Yeah, no, second Renovigan, I can't really complain too much. The overall events were pretty good for me, but if you watch the video back, it was so funny. I drew within the first like 3 or 4 days both copies of Good Luck and Blood Transfusion and Long Night.
Wow, yeah, it
And I
looked like you were stocked because you had so many
not
hunter events. It's funny how different it can look from the other side.
And the problem is because I didn't manage the events properly, I had at one point throw away a child carriage on somebody, even though I had good lucks and blood transfusions all over the place, but just because of the timing of the events and things. Um, it was a bit tricky too because I was contemplating bringing Van Helsing over, and I decided to supply, and I can't remember exactly why I decided to do that. But I thought I'll just wait a couple more turns, I'll supply. And of course, he supplied the flipping horse, whereas based upon everyone else's movement, Gadami would have supplied it the next day, which made my life so much easier because I could have been really aggressive, even though I knew he had wild
Right.
horses, and go, I don't care if you block one of my horses because I've got two more inbound and I've got double planned ambush and all that stuff. But then because then the horse ended up on Van Helsing, Konami had to sit there for ages. He never got that horse at the end because I never traded it. I decided to keep it on
I
Van
saw that
Helsing.
did seem kind of odd to me. I was like, oh, that's he had the opportunity to trade with Helsing and he didn't give the horse to Godalming? That kind of
Yeah.
caused me to scratch my head a little bit. I assume it was to get closer to the to be better positioned to stake the Vampire in CAG.
Yeah, but then in hindsight, yeah, I mean, I did
Eh,
get across a little bit quicker that way, but then the horse is then stuck on Cagliari. But in the end, because I had CG and stuff, I was able to kind of manipulate the board a little bit, so I didn't need that horse. But if you had then escaped as Bat of Genoa, a horse would have been stuck on Cagliari. Konami has no other movement because the sense of emergency got thrown away. So you could have then, if you were aware of that fact, then you would have just, you could have easily slalom around my hunters at that point. So yeah, it was a really dicey moment there. Um,
I was really torn about what to do after Med. I mean, my initial instinct was to go to Terranian and Wolf Tabari and then hide under fog, kill some more time. But I'm thinking, like, what's the play after that? I'm assuming you have a stocked up CG. So then I thought, you know what? I mean, I could also go to Britannia, but I think the numbers worked out such that I would be at low health and I need to land like right around the time Fury was starting. I think I might have I can't remember how the calculations worked out. If it was if I had gone to if I had exhausted all sea space, then I get CG and killed, so I'd need to land before Fury. I think that's how it
hmm,
went. I think I would need to land one turn before Fury phase if I went to Britannia. But
maybe it depends if you Dark Horn Cagliari or not too. Might have had an influence on that. Can't
but
remember.
assuming you had CG, it's just so precarious to do that. So I figured I needed to land now, and I gave a little bit of thought to going to an inland Italian space and a little bit of thought of going to Spain, but I assumed I was going to get CG'd. So I thought, okay, maybe the play is Genoa. He'll probably wait and use hypnosis, and then I can move to Venice under fog. It'll be a little bit of a waste because then my hide would be something less effective. I'd rather have the hide be fog, but I'd probably play it. I'd probably play
Hmm.
the fog for the regular encounter and then hide it or something random. I only had the one fog, uh, but my plan would be to feed at that point and then just wait out a little bit more time. And at least then I'd have killed a little bit more time, give me more time to get my wolf form back. It would take a while, but I mean, then I could maybe create some confusion as to where I go from there and where I land. Um, I thought that was a little safer. And I thought there was a possibility that you might land on me and I might be able to get the escape as bad off.
Hmm.
But I think you deduced it right. You kind of guessed my incentives right, and you
Yeah,
managed
especially
to make the yeah.
yeah, but got lucky too that you didn't draw a thing to counter the heavenly host. Because if you, at least if you'd be able to find that, you'd taken basically no damage. Sword's bitten, but that's not really consequential. Um, I had a lucky find to get his fourth card if I landed on you again. But then the option of going to sea, would you? if you had Fang Seward, stop the Heavenly Host, you'd have been on still was it 8, 9 health, something like that. Oh,
I'd
eight
be at
health.
8 health. Yeah,
Right?
because you took two and I get back.
Would you have gone to C then? 'Cause I don't know. I don't think I would have played Consecrated Ground knowing that you could just go to C anyway.
If
I would
you
have probably
did
left it
not
open.
play CG, I definitely would have used my fog and gone to Venice. And I would have hoped that I didn't get forewarned to get multiple hunters on me. Um,
Okay.
that's what I would have done. If I had gotten CG'd, that would be a difficult. I assume if I had gotten CG'd, that I would then go to C, and then I would decide there, okay, when do I play the fog? Um, do I go one space, two space, three space, whatnot?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if I didn't get CG'd, I would have gone and fogged Venice and tried to stay there as long as I could, unless I could escape his bat from there.
Okay. So the way I think that the follow up I would have had to try to do there is anticipate you have fog. So Gadami wouldn't have made it to Venice because he had no express movement. Maybe he had a full warn, so I'd have to trade after the night fight, trade the forewarned off onto Van Helsing, and then be prepared to give it to Mina, so it had forewarned. So you wouldn't be able to stop Mina and Seward coming in. Um, but obviously, then it's a gamble. 'Cause I don't know if it is actually Venice. It could have been Milan, but I guess Gadami would have checked it first. So, but in the heat of the moment, I might have forgotten to trade the forewarned, ready to give it to Mina, and then then it's a whole bluffing game about, well, who do you fog? Um,
True. Um, I wonder what would have happened if I had gone and wolfed either to Spain or to Zurich, because those
hmm,
were options. I think in that situation, again, I would be assuming that I wasn't going to get land on that turn, so I would probably not have played the fog. Um, so I would just, I guess my question would be, okay, you didn't have Speedy Telegraph at that point, so Mina would be using Hypnosis. I guess
lost.
she'd be
Yeah,
using Hypnosis during the last day phase, so you would be
yes.
able to CG me. And I guess in that case, I would probably Genoa would only have what four move options. I would have to move on
Uh,
to you from not Genoa, Geneva. I would have to move on to you. I think Zurich,
but
same deal or
the
no?
but the issue is right because obviously hypnosis, unless I got lucky with if I supplied with Gadami and Seward or Van Helsing and I got some sort of hired scouts or whatever. Otherwise, if it just said, "Oh, he's in Iberia," well, the problem is I don't know if it's Madrid or Saragossa or Granada, and that means then some of my heavenly host placements would have been a bit inefficient. So there's a chance that I don't actually block you in fully. And also then because Gadami doesn't have great movement and you still had wild horses at that point, you might be able to survive one turn. And then if I get everybody on you, then the following turn, so 2 turns after you land, you could easily just fog the right person and then nothing happens. Same deal with Italy. I mean, it would have made it. I probably would have still moved to Genoa anyway, because I wouldn't want to play consecrated ground if you were in Italy and then suddenly realize, oh, you're in Genoa, it's useless. Um, so I want to rule out Genoa anyway, and then go right. But I've played Hypnosis in Italy. That means I know it's Geneva or Zurich, but there's still quite a lot of connections, and I might not have got it right. And also then with wild horses, you could have manipulated it in a certain way. Um, so um,
Yeah, I still think that if you had gotten the hypnosis and you would have been able to really make things difficult for me if I went to Italy. I might not have an opportunity to even because how many connections are there for Zurich, right? There's Milan, there's Munich, there's Nuremberg, there's Geneva. So if you started with that one, you
Strasbourg.
oh, is that five? So I
Yeah.
would have somewhere to go that I could put fog down then.
Hmm.
Hmm. And if it was but then again, if you had done that, and you had stayed in Milan, I don't know, I wouldn't know. I'd be screwed. Geneva
Yeah, but
would
just
have nowhere to go to.
just without renewed vigor, a second renewed vigor, it makes my life a bit more awkward because you can just with wild horses get the right hunter and push them away at the most pivotal moment. So you might not have had to use fog. You might then be able to save fog for a later turn. Um, just depending how it all sort of panned out. So I don't know.
In
It's
hindsight,
kind of funny.
Spain would have been better, right? But I worried that that's easier to get to by rail, particularly if you had another chartered carriage or sense of emergency, which I know Ganami could get you sense of emergency to go the other way too, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be on a port. It seemed a little bit. I didn't know that you didn't have another renewed vigor. In fact, I kind of thought
Mhm.
you had another renewed vigor since it seemed a little bit cavalier the way you played the first one. So I thought, okay, maybe that's because he has a second one. No offense, but I mean, it wasn't a renewed vigor to jump on me. So
Right.
it made me worry more that you had a second one, and in that case, the rail connections to Spain seemed very threatening. Particularly if I got CG'd. I don't know. It was tricky in that way. And if I did
Yeah.
that right, even if I survived another turn and you jumped on me the turn after you hypnosis and moved me via CG, then I used my fog. In that circumstance, I might not have time to hide and feed and do all the other stuff like I might be able to do if I had
Mm.
gotten to Venice. So
But then again, CG would have been off the board, or in terms of like off the table, in the sense of like it's already been played. So you could have maybe got away with not hiding and feeding. You would have had enough health to be able to run out the clock a little bit. Even though I'd probably know direction of travel, we'd be heading north by sea. But yeah, I think it's just funny how it kind of panned out. How Gino was like the sneaky move, and it was the one move I didn't want you to make. But in hindsight, maybe just doing a safe Madrid move, not Granada, because I could have CG like nuked you. But in Madrid, I might have actually struggled to get my hunters sort of over there in numbers enough. And if I'd put the CG token in the wrong place, because Gadami only had a two white, so he couldn't get that far from Marseille. No, the second there's a child card that got discarded, so there's one more, but it could have still been in the buried in the middle of the deck, so I wouldn't have got it. Second sense of emergency, neither. So yeah, just funny with the limited movement I had with Godalming. This kind of played into my hands a little bit the way you did play in the end, but you weren't to know that.
there's
Um,
certainly an irony to that because if I did get to Genoa, right, if you didn't have charter, well, if you didn't have charter carriage, you would need two moves to get there. You could
mhm.
potentially get to Saragossa with one rail, um, and I could very easily get forced to move there with CG. It's hard. It's a function of like trying to deduce what your opponent has, and I don't
Right,
know.
but the fact the hypnosis has to get played last means it would have been during the day phase, I suppose. So then at night, oh no, at night phase, Godalming couldn't get tickets because he had to play Consecrated Ground. Because I had to keep it on him. Couldn't you Van Helsing? Just in case Van Helsing left Cagliari, I didn't want the vital Consecrated Ground turn that I was stuck at sea and I couldn't use it. So yeah, Ganami couldn't sire his tickets.
Mm.
Seward would have been a bit mispositioned to go to Iberia. But then you didn't know. I could have easily moved Seward into Marseille as well at some point, and then suddenly it's you know
And
uh,
typically, the hunter
a lot
that
more
doesn't
flexible.
have the horse usually wants to have a more traditional rail ticket, like a 3-2. And I knew you didn't have perfect horse ecos, so it would make sense for the bad slash good ticket, the
Hmm.
3-2 ticket or the 2-2 ticket to be on Godalming in that circumstance. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that might be the counter to wild horses. Just go by rails all the time.
Yeah, that was another
But
thing. I was very worried that like, I was worried that when I was in CAG, that you might use, and you had Seward in Vienna, that you might rail to Genoa and then excellent weather onto
mm,
me.
yeah,
Usually, I thought that might have been the play you were thinking of when you used that RV. And obviously, that didn't end up happening. So I was a little bit relieved actually when I saw the horse move, but because I couldn't stop the rail move from Vienna
no,
to Genoa or the excellent weather. The white horses would have been useless.
yeah, that's right. But no, I didn't. I didn't have the second. Well, excellent. A second excellent weather did actually come along, but after all that had happened. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just a couple of turns early, and I would have had it. But even then, I wouldn't have had the train ticket to get down to Vienna. So I was just more focused on just making sure my horse economy was perfect. So when I did use it, it'd be fine. So yeah, a very tense and tactical one against another hunter win, but that was a very tough game. That was not easy as to. There seems to be a bit of a theme in this tournament, even though the hunters have got they've been running away with it a bit. The games, I mean, at least the games that I've been involved with, or the games I've seen, they've all been fair. You know, they've been very competitive, and they're not runaway victories. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know
no,
how you feel, but maybe you've watched more. I think you've probably just watched more games than I have, just because of availability and time, I guess. But I don't know. Do you share that sentiment, or do you think slightly differently?
I would say that yeah, most of the games have been pretty competitive despite the Hunter Drac lopsidedness of outcomes. I'd agree with that for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Well, potentially the nice thing, who knows the future hold. Potentially the nice thing is that given that this tournament is so small, that I might face you again and have another shot at this. We'll see. Maybe, maybe
Hmm.
not.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe on
I'm.
roles reverse. I want to try and get onto Dracula at some point.
You all had two League of Dracula champions on your team, and both of you. It hasn't been lost on us that you all are both undefeated. So I was really hoping to sneak one here, but maybe I'll get another chance
I,
in the final 4 weeks to get you
oh, you,
hard to win.
oh, you could have easily done it. Yeah, it was not a straightforward game at all. And then with the interruptions in the middle too, making it even harder, and having to while I was dealing with baby, I was thinking about my turns and like, right, what's going to potentially happen next?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was not easy. This is a very pleasant, week is over, 7 p.m. Friday night for me. I'm looking forward to the weekend and all that. And for you, it's the middle of the night now. So
Mhm.
definitely kudos to you for choosing to play at this time. I know it's not easy to schedule these transatlantic games, but um, you made a bold but necessary call in scheduling this when you did, and it has paid off for you. So I definitely respect that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for accommodating. And yeah, yeah, we're in the lead now on our side. I'll see
Yeah,
what
this
happens in the
brings you
remaining
up
two
to
games of this week.
1.5. You'll be ahead by
Hmm.
1.5 overall with
Yeah.
two more week 4 games to go.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see if
But
we can tie it back up.
yeah, you could easily, or you could get a 1 point lead by the end of this week. You just have to see. Um, but, I like the format. It's just a slightly different vibe to it. I just think like yeah, we've got two former champions on our team. Well, I guess
Three.
our to win is the current champion, right? Oh, right. Then you
Yeah.
got Geo for the team tournaments as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but again, it's about the whole team, and I think your team is, in terms of experience, is very balanced, and that makes it very hard when we're looking to try and work out, who's going to play who, and weaknesses to target. There aren't really many, so that's it makes it tricky on our side. Um, but it's good that it's close. That's what we want to see.
Well, for better or worse, we're just doing a rotation, so we don't put much thought into the matchups. You all could strategize. We just go on autopilot,
But I
which
want if it gets really close towards the last couple of weeks, if that rotation of yours will go out the window or not.
we'll see. I don't know. Right now, it feels like our assignments are in balance, as all things should be, as, as someone said.
We are trying to strategize as much as we possibly can, but I think a lot of it actually just comes down to availability because there's like at least three of us who have got young children, and then other out of game commitments and things. So a lot of it is not really strategizing, but just who can play the 2v1s this week.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose
I
that is
just
the
go from there.
downside. The downside of having a smaller tournament, but you guys have
It's
done a
good.
good job making it all work, so we appreciate that.
Likewise, your side.
All right.
All right. Well, I guess I should go to bed. I'll fill in the form immediately, and then I'll go to bed.
Glad to hear it. I'll do the same.
But take
Uh,
care, Snuff.
yep.
Thanks for the
Catch you
game,
later. Thank you.
and GG's.
GG, well played.